I think today is probably one of the most powerful podcasts that I've ever had or conducted. We've got this is probably unlocking like $1 billion mindset in itself, right? Two titans of the market. One is Mr. SamIr Munshi, who I've spoke about in several videos of mine, who's a mentor, who is one of the leaders when it comes to joint ventures, land acquisitions, building acquisitions. I've got so much to talk about Mr. SamIr Munshi, and then we have Mr. Shoaib Khan, who, if you've read recent reports, Zoya Developers are investing close to 2 billion into the Dubai real estate market. So this podcast, the objective is to understand how the Dubai real estate market is shaping and what new investors should be anticipating from the Dubai real estate market, and a lot more knowledge and wisdom can expect. And of course, my partner, Kamran Sheikh, as well, is here. And this, in fact, we started off like we met with Mr. SamIr Munshi. So quickly getting into. Thank you guys so much for coming into this podcast.
No, thank you for having us here and for that amazing introduction.
Privileged to be here.
So can I call you Sameer Bhai? Is that okay?
Yeah.
Because we used to call him Sameer Bhai. So Sameer Bhai means big brother. So in 2013, I think people I've mentioned this a couple of times in my videos that people didn't know. I think we were the top performing real estate company. Mind-blowing, unbelievable numbers. From my younger mindset, I think we're crossing 100 million revenue every month.
It was 400 million.
Sorry. I was scared to say 400 million. That's why I said 100 million. So he taught me the basics. I remember, a group of investors, we used to enter that then market of JVC was I think he single-handedly changed the price per square foot of JVC. When Sameer Bhai entered JVC, the price was around 65 dirham per square foot, and then by the time he exited, it went all the way to 105 dirham per square foot. So this I've seen. Then he entered International City, bought like 440 shops. Again, he really knew and he really understood. There are very few people who can escape the matrix and play the game from at a very macro level. So. But then recently, I felt like we also got into a lot of stall projects. Sameer Bhai used to pick up stall projects, develop them. But then the last few years, I've seen that you're not being a lot of aggressive into these same ventures. So what have you been up to the last few years?
Well, actually, first of all, thank you so much again. Thank you once again for the amazing introduction.
Yeah.
And for the last 3 years, what I've noticed is obviously back then the opportunities were different. We had a lot of stall projects, if you remember.
Correct.
Because there was a big crisis in 2008, and after that, many projects had run out of money. And that's where the opportunity lied back then. But then as years passed, all these projects, most of them finished. Many of them went into liquidation. And today there are no such projects.
Correct.
So obviously I had to change. I got into land acquisition. And then initially, I think a couple of years back, I used to buy lands and sell lands. And then I realized that my return on investment was a lot higher into development. But then the next question is, why didn't I get into development? Because the reason I did not directly get into development is what I realized is for a development to be successful and be very profitable, you need to have the right infrastructure. And only then can you achieve a higher selling price. Now, I'll give you an example. You have a small developer, a first timer, for example, coming into Dubai. He goes to an area like DLRC or any mid-segment area. His selling price probably would be 1200 in best case scenario.
Right.
And in the same area, similar kind of a development, you have an established developer like, for example, Samana or Imtiaz, any of the established developers, they would probably sell at 1600 square foot.
Right.
And don't forget, the cost remains more or less the same. The land cost is the same whether a big developer enters in or a small developer. But the bottom line there's a huge difference in profitability. But then I realized that why not partner with these big developers, do a joint venture with them, give them a land, let them develop, let them use their infrastructure. And it has been a fantastic journey. I think we already almost 20 projects down. So basically, I'm involved in 20 projects where we own the land and we've done joint ventures with various developers. But my focus mostly has been on mid-segment areas only.
Right.
For some reason, I've been very bullish on mid-segment, and my comfort lies there.
That actually was one of the next questions. Before I get into that question, you've also ventured into international markets, right? So you've been doing business with US markets, with Asian markets, India and Dubai. So we've been doing business in a lot of markets. Anything that's any differential?
We did a little bit of investments here and there, like did some investment in South Africa, also
African
US,
markets,
etc. I got into some other businesses, but then Dubai remains my favorite as of date.
Okay.
Because the place is just booming, especially after COVID. The number of people which have come in is mind blowing.
That is
and
true.
Still, I think Dubai remains the number one destination. Now, of course, there are concerns. The concerns for people like me is lands are finishing. Dubai is getting built. First of all, a lot of these talks about Dubai markets going down, I don't believe at all.
I was getting on to that next time.
No, I don't believe at all. In fact, I think the fundamentals are very, very strong.
Correct.
The inflow of people is more than ever before.
Right.
And I work very closely with developers, so I know what is happening on ground. Literally, some of these developers are doing 40% higher business than 2024.
No, see now, precisely. See, imagine a developer like Shoaib Khan, Mr. Khan. If he's investing close to 2 billion into the market, he has done his due diligence for the market as well, right? He has a clear plan. So I don't believe in and if you study the markets as well, you know what's happening in Europe, UK, US, Australia, Canada, Singapore. If you start analyzing those markets, you understand why Dubai is.
No, and also take an example of any matured market. Take an example of Singapore or Hong Kong, for example. There are no lands. So once in a month, government would release a couple of lands, and there would be an auction, 100 people bidding for it.
Right.
The land price would be probably 2x or 3x of the actual.
The governments are not developing. Correct.
Value, because there are no lands.
Right.
So Dubai, I think, is reaching to that point. The whole market is evolving, and there's traffic, there's people, there's so much of activity all around the city. It's buzzing.
It is buzzing.
The only problem which I'm facing is there are no lands. It's just disappearing, and then by the month the land prices are going higher and higher. Like for example, a year back we were acquiring lands in mid-segment areas for like below 100 per square foot. Today the price is at 200 plus. You're talking about 100% increase in 12 months. So that's where the challenge is. So what we have done as a company is also we've decided to diversify, and we've been acquiring lands now in Indonesia, because I'm a huge fan of seafront properties.
Understood.
So I'll tell you more about it in the coming days.
What red flags should a new investor in Dubai real estate be aware of that they mostly overlook? Any red flags?
See, first of all, you have to look at the background of a developer, because a lot of developers I come across, at average, literally, I get one approach a day, believe it or not, people who want to do joint ventures. It doesn't excite me, because a lot of these developers have no passion, they have no background, they have no financial strength, no understanding of construction.
Correct. It's just
there's
so many
developers I've seen, and then they can't deliver on time, the timelines are not right.
Correct.
So there's so many different factors. So obviously clients need to be careful. My suggestion is only deal with reputed developers, deal with the top 15, 20 developers who've delivered projects in the past.
That's actually one of the biggest concerns, because recently there was a project handed over. I don't want to name the developer, but 6 months down the lane, leaks, problems. And then when you go and ask the tenants, okay, give me your feedback, and they're like, never move to this property. There are too many maintenance issues. It's a big concern of not having right developers doing that.
No, 100%. So, like for example, now I've been working with some of the leading developers in the city, and they've done phenomenally well. I'm extremely happy with them. But then, I need to continue working with newer developers, because that's where the opportunity for us lies. So one such developer recently we partnered with was Zoya Developers.
Right.
And the reason why we chose Zoya to work with Zoya is because I'm like zapped to see the kind of projects they've done in India. They've completed 56 projects.
Wow.
And more ongoing. And also it's a young team. They have a lot of passion. They have tremendous understanding on construction.
Would you face what challenges would you face? Entering the Dubai market. Because you're competing with big players, right? I think the biggest challenges would be you've got the tier one garment developers like Imar, Miras, Shoba. So how do you plan to get your name out there, or even sales for that matter? Because I think nowadays people are getting into the developers brand. In Dubai, brand is such a big thing. So how do you plan to overcome those challenges?
See, one of the biggest challenge that we faced while we entered Dubai markets is, of course, like Sameer Bhai was saying, reputation matters a lot.
Right.
That's one of the biggest red flags
Right.
that the investor should look at when they look at a developer. And this is what was priority number one for me.
Okay.
So when we came, we wanted to tell the market that we could be new to Dubai, but we are not to the industry.
Okay.
So comparatively to India and Dubai is a much organized in terms of the process
Right.
and construction and marketing as well, both. So in a disorganized like India, we've been able to build skyscrapers like 42 floors, and we have done more like 56 projects. And these are not just development expertise, we also do in-house, construction. And in fact, most of our products are self-produced, like the concrete blocks. We have our own batching plants. So this was a part of my storytelling when I entered Dubai, because the number one challenge I saw is, of course, the reputation. So I had to tell them that, listen, I could be new to Dubai, but not to the industry.
Okay.
And every product of mine is very niche. We get carefully into, we just don't want to go with the wave of Dubai, ride on the bull run that the real estate is doing. We actually want to give you what you want to buy, not what I want to sell. Okay. So, of course, we have aggressive payment plans and we have good unit mix. But one thing, what really value addition we did is, I can just give you an instance. We would follow through this on all our project, is giving a true value of functionality in when you live in a unit. That is, the average ceiling height was 9 feet in Furjan.
Okay.
So we increased it by almost 20%, took it to 11 feet.
Oh wow.
So that makes even your compact homes look spacious.
True.
So, these are the kind of actual detailing that we get into. And this helped me overcome the challenge that I had as a developer. And alhamdulillah, I was accepted graciously by investors and a lot of brokers that I worked with. And we sold our first project under 3 months.
No,
I had this ceiling challenge with few of my investors.
I know.
So, I mean, I like this concept.
Yes.
I mean, it's really good, yeah.
Because we went to a project, branded residence, okay, top brands. Okay, I don't want to name the brand again. 2.7 meters, and
Really?
2.7,
Yes.
and it's on Sheikh Zayed Road.
See,
So
the idea is about the balance, So the investors can make good money if the ticket sizes are well balanced.
Correct.
But if you want to look at the ticket size, you need to compact the house. Now, if you compact the house and give 2.7 meters, it's a suicide move, Okay, you might just complete a transaction, but the follow through of the reputation will
It'll go down.
So we didn't want to look at it. So though we had one beds at 800 square feet, but we gave good 11.2, good floor to ceiling height. So this really made an impact to the customers.
What payment plans do you offer? I think that's really one of the biggest advantages. Private developers, government developers are too aggressive at 90-10, 80-20. People can't leverage.
See, we have a mix of hybrid payment plans, which we are follow throughing on most of our upcoming projects as well.
Okay.
So we look at, two categories of buyers and investors. So one is either an investor or an end user. So to facilitate the end users, we have an amazing 30-70 payment plans on all of our
That's
Wow.
really great.
projects. So, you just give us 30% upfront and 70 during the handover.
That's really good for the mortgage buyers.
No, but
Yes.
do you change the price or the price remains the same? Because nowadays what happens is when a developer gives like a post handover payment plan, people don't realize this, but they jack up the price by 20% and they give you a lot of developers are doing this. People don't ask questions.
No, actually, we've been working very closely in the pricing. What we realized out of our experience is that, yes, there are some people who are mortgage buyers.
Right.
I would say probably maybe 25-30% of people come in that category.
Right.
Because, for example, somebody working for a bank or working for Emirates Airlines, for example, they've
Okay.
got mortgage ready, sorted out
Correct.
right away.
Correct.
But they're not very happy about paying money up front.
Correct.
But mortgage is available, there's
Correct.
no issue. I think a lot of sales would go in that direction. And then, of course, you have a lot of people coming from outside
Yes.
who need a spread. They don't mind paying even 70-80% upfront.
Okay.
There has to be a little bit. So we cater to a couple of different audience. And of
Okay.
course, there are some people who have got cash today.
Yes.
A lot of inquiries. People tell me
brilliant.
that, Sameer, okay, I'm ready to pay you cash today. What price can you give me?
Like how we did in 2013-14.
Yeah, even now, we do a lot of cash sales. A lot of people love the concept because imagine you put in money up front, you buy $1 million dirham property for 700,000-800,000. You save that money, right?
See,
Yeah,
but I've observed that when you give multiple options to investors, right, they get confused. What?
No. Cash discounts are very, I would say 2-3% of
Okay.
our business, and we don't even encourage that because
Right.
we want to maximize.
Inquiry itself is comparatively very less.
Okay.
But apart from the end user of 30/70, we give you a 60/40 payment plan for the investors. That is 60 during construction and handover and 40 post handover across 3 years. That is 1% per month.
Okay. So which one will be prices are same or is it?
So there'll be a slight difference.
In
We have
which-
to
in
figure
which
out,
one? The end
no,
user.
obviously, the more the deferment, the
Yes.
more the developer has to put in
No,
money.
because then the 30/70 makes more sense for me. As an investor,
100%,
it will make more sense. Investor and user both 30/70 will be. I
Even
would.
when you get a BCC,
Right.
you can sell a property.
Yeah.
Right.
True, very
You can sell a property where you can make money actually.
Correct.
And what's the timeline of the project?
See, currently, as a developer, I am looking into getting into projects where I can get out within 2 years. So, Pristine by Zoya is one of the first projects that we did.
That's
we
in Furjan.
Yeah, it's in Furjan. We launched in towards the end of Q3 24,
Okay.
and we'll be handing over. The committed deadline is Q1 27, but I am sure that I will deliver at least 2 quarters before my committed deadline.
That's really
Because the contractor on board that I have got is Al Shafa National Contracting.
Oh wow, Al Shafa.
This is one of the best names you will hear in the construction industry
Absolutely.
here in Dubai.
absolutely.
They have done massive projects across Dubai. So these people are doing the construction. So it's already started. So inshallah, 2 quarters before the deadline, we're gonna hand over.
It's funny. I think Furjan is one of my top areas. I always recommend Furjan. I'm sad we didn't meet earlier. I won an award. One of the developers gave me an award for selling maximum number of units in a
Never
project.
too late, Never too late.
And
That was 2 years back.
maybe
2 years back.
No, Furjan. So any particular reason why you chose Furjan? Any particular reason?
See, I wanted to make a mark when I entered. So I wanted to create a very niche product.
Right.
So one of the reason I chose Furjan was because of its low density. So Nakil as a master developer, it has a set of low density requirements that you cannot build studios and you have to only look at 1, 2 and 3 beds.
Correct.
And they have an average size of 110 square meters. So this creates the whole low density vibe. And of course, location wise, it is strategically placed
Right.
next to E311, and then Etihad passes through the Furjan belt as well. You've got metro as well. So this tick mark most of my,
It ticks all the box.
Yeah. And the other thing was coming from India, I have also attracted a lot of Asian buyers, especially from India as well. And Furjan being close to the tolerance corridor. So it was a right mix for me to provide a Vastu compliant home also.
Okay.
Because there are very few developers providing Vastu compliant homes in Furjan.
Okay.
So I was one of them. And this is why we choose Furjan, and Indians accepted it well. And at the same time, I have equal number of European buyers as well, because I had plunge pools, open kitchen concept for every balcony and every unit. So, it was a well balanced. So
That's
not only
nice.
did I have Asian buyers,
Yeah.
I also had European buyers.
I think this is a very big mistake. A lot of Indian developers do that. They try and focus major on but what people investors generally like are a mixed, diverse demographic. If you target a certain demographic, it becomes a bit of a concern.
Exactly.
So how do you balance commercial viability with architectural design. I think that's also a big question most people have, because everyone's trying to like maximize their profits. How do you balance that?